easily the most weird week we've had in a while. It's just been weird, and there's a lot going on. So before we get started, I want to give a shout out to the chat. We got Alan Lewis up in here, man, early. Of course, we got some other folks up in the chat going to hit that thumbs up. You hit that thumbs down, I'm going to have to send CBS after you. So before we get started, of course, Late Ill Kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people? Today, all year, coming with another wonderful episode of Loungin. We are chilling. We are back. Sundays, we do our thing sometime during the day, so you know how it is. It's wonderful to see all y'all sunshiny faces. Like I said, we got Alan Lewis in the chat. We got Tracy Lee in the chat. We got Open Mind in the chat. Good to see y'all. Wonderful seeing y'all. Glad y'all are here. Let's see. This has been a very interesting week. A trying week. Would you say that? Would you say it's been a trying week? Interestingly hard to deal with week. You know what I'm saying? Like a week that is hard to handle. This week, if you see, of course, the title, we're going to be talking about Gayle King, Lisa Leslie, the Kobe Bryant question, CBS, Snoop's response, a lot of people's response, then Oprah kind of turning the tide, and Susan Rice, and all this weird stuff, because it's been a crazy week. Before I get started, we don't have Lady Lisa here today, unfortunately. Lady Lisa is out on location doing some other things. But we got NERDSoulite. And before we're open mind. All right, cool. Go on, tag me in it so I can see what you had. But before I get started, I want to make it known that this video, we're not going to be here. We're not here to talk, we're not here to dump on black women. We're not here to dump on black men. That's not what this channel is about. This channel is about bringing black friendship, black families, black communities back together. You know what I'm saying? We ain't about that division stuff. So if you're here to do some gender sniping, some gender war stuff and wildness, this just ain't the place for you. It's not going to happen here. That's not what this is about. This is about specific people doing specific things and specific people talking to other specific people. Stop letting celebrities color your view of all black people, whether they're men or women. So what this whole thing started with, of course, Kobe Bryant passed, and we lost him, and we talked about that, and on all kinds of channels, and it's been rough. Just thinking about, thank you, Tracy Lee. Seeing his passing and how he passed and the people he passed with. Imagine the network of people affected with 9 lives lost. That's just tough to imagine. And we lose these people, and it seems almost immediately people can't wait to, throw dirt, throw shade, tarnish, whatever you want to call it, from Ari Shafir to Allison, the lady on MSNBC, to what is it, the Disney girl, Abigail Disney, to Evan Rachel Wood. All of these people couldn't wait to come out. But those people had something in common, which was their either proximity to or their whiteness. And that's what kind of really, I guess you kind of expect that, in most cases, when it comes to our, brothers and sisters, white people or the culture of the media that reflects whiteness wants to make sure that there's an asterisk there so they can always say, but such and such. And we saw it and we jumped on him, but it's something you kind of expected, because even whenever Kobe does something, when he got the Oscar, they kind of try to bubble it up again. But things hurt worse when it comes from your own, or who you think is your own. Now, it's been no secret that Oprah and Gayle have been moving in very weird ways in the last, let's say, 2 to 4 years, where it seems like, are they down for us? You know what I'm saying? It was like, people were like, I don't know if they're down. And I think this week just continues to compound that evidence of, they ain't really for us. Now, of course, I understand the point of, saying that, they shouldn't have to be for us. They're celebrities, they don't care about us, whatever. But I think most of this feeling comes from many Black celebrities of older generations knew that their, I guess, platform was the only way people would ever listen to them. Now, of course, generations change, times change, things like that. But I think people kind of still expect, our celebrities to speak for the things that go on in our communities because no one else will. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to. Would it be nice? Yes. Would it work out super awesome? Yes, it would. But of course, they don't have to. That's not their job, I guess you could say, depending on how you look at it. And it seems like in many cases, from what I've seen from afar, it looks like as long as you are well off or well-to-do in Black, Oprah and Gayle are for you. But if you are your everyday, caught in the rat race, just trying to make it, just trying to live, you get overlooked, and you get looked down on. So we have this interview with Gayle and Lisa Leslie, and big shout out to Lisa Leslie for being classy, for being tactful, for being respectful. Lisa, the reason Lisa's not on this thumbnail is because Lisa's fine. Lisa did everything she was supposed to do. Now, of course, I know people say she could have, more vehemently denied it, but Lisa did her thing. She was classy. She was, tactful, all that stuff. So Gayle asked this question of, do you think he has a complicated legacy? And, we assume, she works for a white outlet. They want to ask this. They put her up to ask it because she's essentially their shield. I get that. Where Gayle burns herself is where she continues to press with her follow-up questions. She says something like, do you have a complicated legacy? And the video's out there, you can look. Lisa Leslie says, no, it's not complicated for me. And then, I haven't seen anything. This is not the kind of man he is. And then Gayle comes in with, well, you wouldn't see that, would you? And whenever someone responds like that, you can't win. Because you can always say, like, I could say, hey, your brother, isn't he dangerous? And you'd be like, nah, man, my brother's cool. Be like, oh, well, you would say that, would you? Like, you can do that on anything. You know what I'm saying? So from that point, that pulls in, from a lot of our perspectives, a personal issue or a certain specific agenda that you're trying to push, a certain narrative that you're trying to make known. Hits the fan, people are angry as they should be, and they mad as they should be. So people mad as they should be, and with that anger, they go online. People on Twitter are on fire, Facebook's on fire, Instagram's on fire. The biggest response that we're going to be talking about today, even though Matt Barnes did chime in a very classy way as well, you have Snoop. Oh, no. So you have Snoop come in. Of course, he responds. He's passionate, and sometimes that passion and that emotion kind of gets away from you. That's right. So in that, he goes a little, what people would say too far, cursing, this, that, and the third, calls her, I think, a dog-faced bee, all that stuff. And with that, there's some outpouring and because he's like, don't make us come see you, or don't make us come see you, or don't make us come get you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So with that, since it's don't make us come see you or don't make us come get you, there's this whole kind of how should you say, threatening thing that they kind of jumped on. And the problem with that is they jump on this, and now the narrative starts to change, because now it's, oh, not Gayle is wrong. Gayle is a victim now. And you have Oprah jump in, and she starts, she's on the CBS This Morning or something, like she's crying, and I feel sorry for Gayle and blah blah blah, and this misogynistic. So now it gets pushed towards a man-woman thing, and this is where I want to stop it real quick, because notice everything was all good. This was about Gayle. This is about what Gayle was doing, and most likely CBS via Gayle. And then all of a sudden it's misogyny and black men and women, and it gets turned that quick. And then it gets weirder when Susan Rice jumps in on some Onyx back the F up. And I'm like, what? Hold up, Susan Rice? I ain't seen Susan Rice in years. I was like, what is this? Where'd she come from? So that's where we are now. And I want to use this as an opportunity for us to talk about the divide that I've seen online, particularly growing and being pushed seemingly by larger algorithms and entities than myself, of this kind of division between black men and women. This ain't about death threats. I don't think the death threats thing happens, and not saying that you should be happy to get death threats. That's not what this is about. This is about using what Snoop said to be a death threat, when I don't think any of us saw it as a death threat, but him leaving that door open to be interpreted as such. And then once it was interpreted as such, that was the new narrative of, hey, he's being, she's being threatened, she needs security. And let me make it clear for you guys. Gayle already has security. You know what I'm saying? So for y'all to act like Gayle never had security until now, it's just not it's not happening. So that's not the case. So you look at something where you're like, oh, okay, why are they changing it like this? Why is it now all of a sudden we're going down this road? Because now we're not on CBS and Gayle and her apology and her kind of throwing it to CBS. We're talking more about death threats and misogyny, and black men do this and black women do that and blah, blah, blah. And I guess what I want to focus on is like, how can we get out of this rut and this weird cycle of constantly going through and going back to black women do this, black men do this, and using the actions of black celebrity to sort of color the perception of all black men and women. And I say that because, I think that's where we're getting stuck at and we're getting locked at. And I don't want us to get wrapped up, us meaning, people that are just living our lives and chilling, and whether we're in the industry or not, living our lives and chilling and being kind of caught in, this weird, cycle of just infighting over and over and over again. So now, thank you guys for coming through. I want to give a big shout out to, of course, Geek Fine Art, who did the artist sponsor wall behind me. About 90% of this art is his. Geek Fine Art on Instagram, dope dude, super awesome. So now I want to get to the convo. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. We got Pim Griffey, Vivi in the house, Alan Lewis, Tracy Lee, Cooley High is in the house. We got Bert from Markeith, I think. I don't want to mess your name up. I'm sorry. But Bert in the house. We got Open Mind, Goldman Vision. So it's good to see y'all guys. Good to see y'all lovely faces. Because y'all are awesome and you guys have always been awesome. And it's just cool to see you guys come through and have some of these discussions, and hopefully we can do something where we're able to help each other out, help each other figure our way out of this cycle. And I know this, I'm not expecting us to finish it in this video, but there's things where we can start. And I feel like we're not even having the conversation of why are we in this cycle? Why are we going through this cycle? Why do we allow Black celebrity to kind of start this cycle? Because, you know, kind of like on Star Wars, stay on target, stay on target. I feel like we haven't stayed on target. Gayle did something and we were like, boom, Gayle, you did something wrong. And it was wrong and you knew it was wrong and you should be even more ashamed because you look like us. Your family looks like us and you should be ashamed. Next thing is, oh, Gayle's crying and Oprah's crying and misogyny and death threats. And it's like, whoa, 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 let's stay on target. And also, let's not let this infect our culture and tear us apart. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by tear us apart is just that infighting, that gender war mess that is just, it's not good for us. So Tracy Lee says, coming in on Tracy Lee says, no, it wasn't. If Gayle and Oprah were part of us, they would understand. But then again, they used what he said to flip the script. Yeah. Vivi says, Susan Rice chiming in was crazy. And it seemed random too. Doesn't she have more important things going on? I guess not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe her and Gayle and Oprah are mad tight and we just never knew. Goldman Vision says, nobody wants to talk about that though. That's the issue. They are victimizing someone because they reminded us of someone else's victimhood. And the death threats, violent threat need to stop. Now I'll ask this, and trust me, I don't see everything on the internet, but I think that the death threat narrative is being pushed way more than it's actually happening to Gayle. Now I could be wrong. You know, Gayle could be getting, you know, a massive influx of emails or tweets or something, but on my timeline, I haven't seen it. And I feel like this is something that's being pushed to make it work in her favor to garner sympathy. But maybe there is, and I just haven't seen it, you know, but the way they're pushing it is like, you know, old girl is JFK or Malcolm or Martin or something. I'm like, just because somebody says like, you know, like, I'm pretty sure somebody said like, I wish you died instead or something. But, you know, maybe if someone said something like that, that's not death threats. And that's not, you know, it just seems to me like they're pushing that more than it's really happening. But I could be wrong. Vivi says, Gayle has always been an elitist. Us Black folk here in CT know all about her, and it's hard to find anyone who likes her. So yeah, with that, I want to ask, where can we go? What can we do to use situations like this? Because I mean, this ain't the only one, but use situations and moments like this to make sure that we're not devolving into Black men are whack, or Black women are whack, or Black women are horrible, or Black men are horrible. Because from where I come from what I've seen tons of Black families. And if all these Black families are together, been married for all these years, and kids are happy and healthy and blah, 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 then apparently not all Black women are horrible. Apparently all Black men ain't bad. And there's Black families all over the place. But when we get online, it seems to be this weird microcosm of like, Black men don't marry Black women. Black women don't love Black men. Black women are horrible. Black men are pieces of crap or something. And it's just not what I've seen throughout either college or church or jobs. I've seen tons, and also as I've traveled abroad. I've traveled all through, well, not all through the United States, like East Coast, the good part of the Midwest, and the West Coast. And I've seen tons of Black families just chilling and hanging out. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out, like, where is this disconnect between the actuality I'm seeing, and I'm sure that you guys are probably seeing too. Not to say that there aren't men that leave, that leave, or women that are bad, but to act as if the other does not exist is weird to me. And just asking if it's weird to you, because not saying that I haven't seen men run off, or I haven't seen women act up, or be, alcoholic mothers, or junkie moms, or dads that, hit women or whatever. Not saying that, but I'm saying that I have also seen, and actually more of, I've seen Black families that are just chilling, like they're just kicking it, and I wonder if we're letting that color, or if we're letting celebrity color our view of what's actually going on. Big shout out, Goldman Vision said, even if it's keyboard warriors, doesn't mean it doesn't have a psychological effect in the court of law. That's harassment and threats. No, I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying that, I think I'm saying more that it's being embellished to help her garner sympathy when she was originally what was the nexus point of this. So not to say that, I want Gayle to get death threats, because I don't. But I also think that Gayle is using maybe one or two instances to fabricate and embellish this, barrage of attacks that aren't real. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that I don't care about her psyche, I don't care about whatever, but I just think that a lot of times, you give them an inch and they take a mile. You know what I'm saying? They're putting 100 on 10. You know what I'm saying? Tracy Lee says, love Black people. Alan Lewis said, we need to have more dialogue and in-depth conversation. VV says, unfortunately, that's the social media, YouTube subculture that keeps the Black gender wars going, cyber beef. Yeah, it's because, it's weird. There's, and I see it. And I see it getting worse. And there's times when I see someone might tweet something or post something, say Instagram or Facebook, it'll be a video, and Black men do this. Or you'll see on The Real, you'll see Lonnie Love talk about Black men this, Black men that. And there's many times when I want to make a video, or I want to tweet back, but in defense of I know tons of good Black men that are out there feeding their kids, taking care of their wives, loving, just living their regular lives. But then I know sometimes when you try to combat it, it creates this weird energy. And that's why I want this dialogue of how do we approach this? How do we kind of smolder this weird fire of just this divide? How do we start to talk more and yell less? Because I think there are very valid critiques and issues and worries, and most of it is driven from fear. You're scared. You're like, yo, I'm tired of this. This worries me, whatever. But how do we get to the kernel of how this person feels and what is really going on in their lives and what they're trying to say, instead of this strange, just cyclone and cycle and barrage of just Black men are this, Black women are this. I hate Black women. I can't stand Black women. Or I can't stand Black men. And how do we get out of that? You know what I'm saying? That's the thing I'm wondering about. Goldman says, still everyone talking about Gayle King. No one talking about Kobe's court settlement. I want to talk about deflection much. Yeah, it's weird. The settlement, I don't really trip on that. It's here. I think Lisa handled it well when she said, you had 15 to 17 years to talk about this. There's tons of documentation that shows that the young lady had been bragging about the money she was going to get. The prosecution's own experts and whatever kind of like disproved the I guess the narrative that they were trying to push on Kobe. All of these things that at least should be questioned or talked about for the reason that the case was essentially dismissed and dropped because she didn't show up to testify. And then of course people saying, well, she didn't show up to testify, but she showed up to get the money. So you have these weird things that at least we could talk about if we wanted. But if we were to talk about this, do we need to talk about it before he's even buried? And why talk about it now when you had 15 years to talk about it before he was dead? It seems quite peculiar to talk about it now. It seems extremely interesting that this would be the time, knowing that there are 3 other young ladies and a wife that are sitting here and have to go through this. So yeah, that's I think where a lot of people are going or looking at. So from my point of view, of course, like I said, there's been a lot of times when I've seen posts, directed at men and black men specifically. They always say black men, and it's like, well, I'm a black man, and I love black women, and I love my family and all that stuff. And there's something that kind of like hits you inside that makes you want to respond because you want to defend yourself and your brothers and stuff. It's like, I know tons of black men is doing their thing and just chilling. They ain't bothering nobody, ain't hurting nobody. But even when I have that initial thought, I back up and I'm like, you know what? Throwing more onto this isn't going to fix it? And I wonder if there's a way is there a way that we can either be online or get offline and have a conversation where it's like, look, go ahead and let's talk about this and be honest about trying to understand each other. Because I think for the most part, people just want to be able to understand where you're coming from and figure out what actually the issue is. And I think a lot of cases, we're stuck in this weird hyperbolic culture where we can't get any rest or get out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know the way, but I know the way is not what we've been doing. And I know the way is not immediately getting stuck into this, black men do this, black women do this thing. It's not working for us. And it's only going to get worse unless we actively try to fix it. Whether it's us talking to our friends offline, like I said, I called in the Thought Crimes yesterday. Shout out to Thought Crimes doing their thing. Shout out to Blurtish, For All Nerds. Big shout out to Black Tribbles. I called in the Thought Crimes yesterday, and I was like, there's a comedian that I know, and a couple comedians I know, and they do a lot of jokes about black women, and at least on my timeline, what I see. So I sent them a direct message like, yo, check it. It seems like you ringing that black woman bell a lot. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I ain't trying to stop your flow. I'm just saying like, yo, I see it coming up a lot and it might not be a good look. And I was just honest and as earnest as I could possibly be without being disrespectful. And they actually responded back like, hey, okay, I see where you're coming from. I looked at one was like, I looked at my timeline. It wasn't as bad as I thought. And I was like, okay, maybe it's just what I'm seeing or what people are responding to. But, at least they responded and it was a real conversation that we could have. And I think sometimes we need to have maybe more one-on-ones instead of public, I guess, shouting matches. Because sometimes, when there's an audience, sometimes when there's an audience, people want to, people need to, of course they got to shine because they have an audience. And when you get folks one-on-one, there's no audience to kind of impress. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Open Mind. Open Mind says, good luck with us trying to understand each other. We too judgmental. I don't know, man. I think there's a way. And maybe, maybe I got too much faith and optimism, but I don't think black people are any more. I don't think black people are any more judgmental than I don't know Hawaiian people. You know what I'm saying? And I could be wrong, but I think we see that judgment due to our timelines, and it's not actual reality. And maybe I could be tripping, but I'm just thinking, like, we aren't as judgmental as I think that we think we are. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Open Mind again. Says you can't be a judgmental black person and have expectations of understanding one another. You gotta you gotta oh man, you can't be a judgmental black person and have expectations of understanding one another. You gotta let go of judgment and become understanding. True that. As you can see, somebody's trying to, get wild up in here. But Black Cherubim says, remember the white college guy that raped another student and the judge only gave him 6 months because he didn't want to ruin the guy's future. No one talks about it. Yeah. I think when it happened, we all talked about it, but I think that is a good example of seeing another culture not value either justice, the judicial process, or value maybe it might have been a class issues, young girl's life, or value their own women's lives. But I don't want us to hopefully use that as a sort of baseline or, something to kind of throw back to, even though, trust me, that was super wrong, mad wrong. But in the conversation of us trying to understand each other, I don't think that we could, or I hope that we wouldn't have to like use an example like that to kind of seek understanding from one another. Yeah, NERDSoulite trying to talk. You want to be in them streets. But yeah, I do want to kind of leave us at least with this idea of trying to maybe have better one-on-one conversations. Maybe smaller groups might be a good idea, but maybe it's the public, the public discourse, the audience that this stuff gets blown up over. And when you have an audience, people have to perform. And if you disagree with them in public, then maybe that person feels they have to perform to get back at you. And maybe that's where we're having this disconnect, because the people that I've contacted personally, even when I've disagreed with them completely, it hasn't devolved into anything crazy. I mean, there's been times where I've been like, all right, man, look, I see where you at. I just can't roll with you. But it's never devolved into cursing, name calling, things of that nature. And I think that's, I don't know, maybe small groups and personal interactions is the way to go, because social media is not working for, and it should. You know what I'm saying? Social media allows us to find each other, support each other, help. Look at Black creators on Patreon that have been able to support themselves with their supporters, or Kickstarters, or people that have been able to find their tribe around maybe a certain mental disability they have, or anxiety, or people have been able to find their tribe in such wonderful ways. But then it seems like social media, of course, on the flip, has allowed us to gang up on one another and draw a harsh line in the sand, and then leave many people that want us to get back to some semblance of understanding just lost somewhere in between. Big shout out to Garan. I'm just going to say Garan. I don't want to mess up your name. Hey, man, if I see all the problems you have there in the U.S., But to be honest, here in Europe, we don't have as much racial problems as you guys there. Why is it like that? Shake my head. I really hope it gets better. That's interesting. You say in Europe, I guess it would depend on what part of Europe. I've been to London a couple of times, and it definitely seems like there's race. It's different, but from what I've experienced, I have seen racism there. But it's definitely different. I wouldn't say it's not the American brand. But I guess it also depends on what part of Europe you're from. Like East Europe, France, where you from? Alan Lewis says, I also think people need to expand their minds and perspectives. Open Mind says, but we talking about black folks just us, not any other race. Alan Lewis says, I think social media will decline in the next couple of years and more people unplug. Open Mind said, other races do have their issues. I'm only focused on us. True that. Pim Griefy said, this generation seems to be addicted to negativity. And I want to talk about that for a second. I wonder if it's our generation, or because I'm in this weird place where if I look on one site, they'll say I'm a millennial. If I look on another site, they'll say I'm a Gen Xer. I don't know. Whatever I'm in, I'm just a regular person. I was born in '82. So I wonder if we're addicted to negativity, or if we're so caught up in this, like I said, this barrage of like traditional and digital media of kind of like antagonistic behavior, antagonistic titles and headlines, that we're so surrounded by it that that's all we know. And maybe that we're not particularly addicted, but we don't know anything else. Because I think it's weird. I wonder sometimes if it's that we're addicted to, like we just have to fight, or if we've seen nothing but fighting, so we know nothing but fighting. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I wonder which one is which. You know what I'm saying? I guess, I mean, of course it doesn't particularly matter, but an addiction would be kind of attacked a different way than the kind of like surrounded by negativity issue. I think a lot of us could get better about how we address one another, get better about how we respond to one another, and just take a second. You know what I'm saying? Go on and type your, go on and open your Twitter and type your mean message, then delete it, and then type the real thing. Like a lot of people, I got told one time, when you're at work and somebody sends you a mean email, instead of sending an email that'll get you fired, type that email like a notepad, get it all out, and then type the real email and send that. Because I mean, there might be some times where a man says something that makes you mad, or a woman says something that type that, but then come with a even perspective. I think if a lot of us start coming with even perspectives, you know what I'm saying? Social media about the people. You know what I'm saying? And to talk, Yasin Bey, aka Mos Def, you know what I'm saying? Hip hop won't get better till the people get better. You know what I'm saying? If social media ain't nothing but the people that's on it. You know what I'm saying? So if we, like you look at like Prince and Sin, it's a beautiful black couple over there doing anything. You know what I'm saying? You look at other people's channels of black couples. You see me, my son, my wife. Well, she's not here today, but she's out doing things in the LA rain. But it's like social media is the people. And if we do better, if we at least address each other better, we can change social media. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, I don't think that this is an overnight fix. But I think it's a process that I don't think enough of us are talking about even trying. I think that's the issue. I think if we honestly tried to okay, let's see if we can change this. Let's see if we can change how we address one another online. Because I don't think a lot of these times this is how we address each other in person. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we address each other better online, or just don't address, like, you know what I'm saying? You see somebody with that negativity, leave them. And then you see somebody with positive, double down on them. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Open Mind. Says, what are we stressed out about? Well, the answer to that question requires us to understand understand each, and reach out and actually care. When you don't care, you will dismiss things and pass judgment. Yeah. Now I've said this. I've been on a couple of podcasts where they talk like more politically based. And one of the biggest issues I say in a lot of stuff when it comes to like policy making and stuff, I'm like, people don't care about people. You know what I'm saying? If people cared about people, you know what I'm saying, this policy or this law wouldn't pass. You know what I'm saying? Speaking about different situations. But I do agree. We have gotten into a very closed in niche, my timeline is the world kind of thing. And I think we need to understand that your timeline or our timeline or timelines are not the world. And just listen a little bit and care. Genuinely care. Not fake care so you can get something from someone, but genuinely care. But Open Mind says stress causes addiction, whether it's drama, drugs, food, gambling, etc. Stress is the reason for this behavior. True that, yeah. You add in the day-to-day, you know, a lot of black people are caught in the rat race. And when you're caught in that rat race all day long and you just want to unload, social media is a good way to unload because there's real repercussions, but there's not, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, this is a place for you to come unload, unfortunately. And we end up unloading our day's baggage on each other. And we got to find a better way to do that. You know what I'm saying? A better way. And I don't know what that better way is. I don't know if it's us coming to one another and asking for help or asking to just lend an ear. I don't know what it is, but we got to at least start talking about some kind of way to fix it. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Goran says, I'm from Serbia, but I study in Austria. I have a lot of friends, dark-skinned friends, if I must say that. But I think that the lower the population of one country is, then the racial problem is lower. Okay. All right. So meaning that there's not as many black people where you are. I guess that's what you're saying. Let's see. And Open Mind says, of course, I'm not interested in fixing other folks. I just want to fix us first. You know, I force people to go outside and play and put devices on the charger. Big shout out to Sweet and Pretty. Nice name, haha. It's like no matter what, when somebody calls your name, it's like Sweet and Pretty. But shout out to Sweet and Pretty. He says this little boy is so cute. Say thank you, NERDSoul. Say thank you. But yeah, it's. I think I wanted to take this example, just like the example with Terry Crews. Anything that comes up, it seems like we end up, you know, attacking each other, and we can't, man. We cannot survive attacking each other. We're not. It's not going to work because you know it's going to bleed into our real lives, our daily interactions, and I mean, our days are rough enough, and we all we got. CMB. But you know, all jokes aside, you know, I just want to figure out a way where we can speak to each other, like really speak to each other. Like, hey, sister, like I really like. All right, for example, Sweet and Pretty. Be like, Sweet and Pretty. Look, I got something going on. You know, I've been having some trouble with black women. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to understand this. You know what I'm saying? Or she could come. Sweet and Pretty could go to Open Mind and be like, Open Mind, brothers are killing me right now. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? And just really looking for understanding or trying to figure out what's going on. Because I know there's knuckleheads out there. But I think that in this hyperbolic culture, knuckleheads are getting the spotlight instead of just regular dudes that's just chilling, raising their families or kicking it with their friends or something. And because, of course, that's what I guess gets clicks. But I mean, like I said, social media about the people. We stop clicking, you know, maybe them headlines slow down. And not saying that we shouldn't check people. We should definitely check people. You know, we definitely need to check that dude or check people that act up. But you know, when it comes to situations like that, just figuring out a better way to handle each other. Oh, what? Oh, Lady Lisa is here, y'all. You want to go see mommy? Look, NERDSoulite supposed to be in the bed, so we gonna get in the bed. We gonna get him. See now right now, black women are looking at me. No, it's just one black woman, but a black woman is looking at me like his butt should have been in the bed. Everybody says hi. BB said hey. She's in the chat. She said hi. BB. She's usually in here on lounging. You know what I'm saying? She's one of the girls that you be chilling with. She said hey, how you doing? But yeah, I guess I'll end it on that. We gotta have more personal conversations, even if it's someone that you don't know on Twitter. Reach out. Reach out, and maybe I'm not saying every experience was be good because I've had good experiences. I've had bad ones, but none of them that were bad ended up the way they end up in public on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we gotta get some smaller groups together and push better news or more positive news or just approach people in service and be like, yo, man, I see you having some problems. How can I help? I know you got a problem with this article. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? What's going on in your area? You know what I'm saying? And just honestly listen to people. Because I think, part of that stress is that people don't feel heard. You know what I'm saying? And people want to unload. And stuff like that. Big shout out to Baraborn. Says there are sustained cultural dysfunction that is finally being addressed. American culture is a toxic mess and should be addressed because normal is not working. Say peace. So guys, we're gonna go on and get out of here. Thank you for coming through. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. We got Open Mind in the house. Pim Griffey, VV, she said hey to Baraborn. Goran from on the other across the pond coast. Alan Lewis in the house. Let's see if we're missing someone. Black Cherubim was up in here. Goldman Vision. Panda, what's up, Panda? Nice to see you. Panda, you got your comics, right? I don't think I told, but you should have your comics now. Big shout out to Panda, largest Patreon supporter. Big shout out to Tracy Lee. Big shout out to Bert. Bert coming through. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name. Big shout out to Sweet and Pretty. You know what I'm saying? BB said, put NERDSoulite to bed. I will. I promise. I will. Lisa said, thank you. All right. Yeah, he should have been in bed about an hour ago. But love all you guys. Thank you for coming through. I know it's tough out there, but I think that, social media about the people, man. We can turn this slowly. I know the wheels turn slowly, but they do turn. I think we can turn. I think we can turn these things. You know what I'm saying? If we try to understand a little bit more. So from us to you, thank you for watching. Of course, NERD, SOUL, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We can talk anytime. You know what I'm saying? Movies, some sports, video games, anime, all that good stuff. And from next time, from us to you, peace, 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 peace. Peace, peace, BB, peace, peace, a peace, peace, Alan Lewis, peace, 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 Panda, peace, 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 Tracy Lee, peace, peace, a peace, peace, all y'all, peace. Oh man, much love. We out, peace.